You're listening to SuperPower Up with multidimensional master, superpower expert, and former counterintelligence agent, Tonya Dawn Recla. If you're ready to disrupt reality, then sit down, strap in, and prepare to experience the show that proves there is no spoon.
Hello, everyone. This is Tonya Dawn Recla, your superpower expert, and I'm so excited today. I love my show. I love my guests, but it's always such a treat when we can have someone from our superpower experts team on to talk about the work that we're doing and how we're doing it, because we get asked all the time, how is this happening? How does this work? We have a collaborative model. We operate in synergistic collaboration. We shape paradigms. We redesign people's realities. Like it is not a small feat what we do over here, in addition to how you all know us through the network and everything else. And so it's always a lot of fun when I can bring someone on who is part of our internal team and can really shed light on what it's like to kind of be in the trenches doing this work. And I know so many of you are doing that or aspire to do that. I think it's important that we share those lessons learned and the growth that we've had and what we've experienced. And so today I have the extreme delight of bringing on the show AngelaMaría, the host of our show High Frequency Healing. And she is just miraculous. The work that she does with our clients, how she outreaches through her show, these creative principles and ideas that she brings into this are just amazing. So we're talking today, the show title is Reality in Realidad, because one of the things that we're focusing on is how she crosses over into the Spanish-speaking markets. And that's a big topic of conversation as our global market gets smaller, our global world, our perspective, outreach is so easy now through the internet and social media. But there are implications, right, for entering into different worldviews. And especially when it comes to transformational work, it is not a simple procedure to just simply think you can say the same thing in a different language. And so I'm really excited to have her share a little bit about what that journey's been like for her. And she's, like I said, she's brilliant. She's just absolutely amazing. And the energy and the spirit that she brings to our team is bar none one of the most powerful things I've ever seen. So I'm excited to be able to share her with you today. So without further ado, welcome to Disrupt Reality, AngelaMaría.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much, Tonya. It's an honor to be here just sharing about this topic that is a topic that touches my soul and, of course, touches my reality in this human experience. So thank you.
Oh my goodness, it is absolutely my pleasure. And I want to stay on course with how we introduce guests to the show and ask, what are your superpowers?
I have a lot of superpowers, and you have been one of the blessings I have got in my path to be able to realize those. But for the topic of this interview today, I would say that my superpower is being an energetically bridge between two worlds in terms of language or cultures, or between North and South, the East and the West, all of those, the duality. I am an excellent conduit of energy to be able to heal and create just amazing experiences in that path of being able to bring both of them to one.
Mm. Absolutely. And I can 100% affirm that. And it was fascinating when you and I first started talking, and there's just, as things go, I know those of you who play in these synergistic realities get that there's just this natural kind of activation that occurs when you butt up against the energy of somebody who you have agreements with, that you've chosen to walk this path with for any period of time. And we kept looking at each other like, okay, we know there's work here. We know we're birthing something, and you were working predominantly in a Spanish-speaking market, and we just weren't equipped to do that crossover at that point in time. And so what I love about our story, our collective story together, is faith, right? It really was trusting spirit that said, look, move together in this way, and it will become clear. But that's not normal, right? And that's really what feeds into the language conversation and decision-making conversations and how we do this work in the world. It is rooted in whatever our decision-making processes are. And when we lean into spirit and stop making decisions from a logical place, but rather from a faith and trust place, true miracles occur but never are we given the proof of that in the walk, right? You have to do the walk and then you get the proof. How has that been for you?
Oh, Tonya, I would say that exactly what you just described has been my path, and it has been a painful path just because at the beginning of all of this journey, I was doing all of this work from an ego perspective. I thought I was being a conduit. I was being a channel from the divinity, but in reality, I was just being just so human, and not because human is something negative, but it was because I thought it was AngelaMaría, the one who needed to do it. And in my human mind, that was not possible. That required way more what my mind could even imagine. But when I was able to realize that I was just a channel, and when I was able to trust, and you said that word before, and it's one of the words I've been repeating to myself lately, that I'm going through a lot of changes. When I trust that I was just a channel, when I trust in my power, when I trust in the divinity I am, all of these work start unfolding in ways that I couldn't even imagine. And I would say for the people who are listening that sometimes all of these topics about energy, about being divine and being in connection with the divine, sometimes we just getting stuck in the language and the terminology. But if you just do this exercise with me right now and you close your eyes, you take a deep breath and you just imagine that the power and the light of that divinity that you believe in, universe, cosmos, energy, God, Buddha, Jesus, it doesn't matter, but that strength, that force comes through you, and you just let that to go through you, around you, in you. That brings you back to the center. And that has been the exercise I've been doing a lot. And just every time that I get down, every time that I just go back to all of those stories in our mind, it's not possible, how come, and this is hard, I don't see it's going to be possible. I just go back and I do this sometimes during the day, many times. It is just, and it has been a proof. I always ask the listeners of my show, do not believe anything we say. Do not believe me. Just verify it. And when I invite you to do it, I really encourage you to do it, because that is the only way that you can really put that divinity you are out there. And it's just a way to tell your ego, hey, thank you so much for your service. I understand what you're doing. I honor you. But right now, this is my service. Right now, this is who I am. And you go back to your own reality, not the reality your mind wants you to create, but the one that you are originally, divinity.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, you said so much in that. And I'm excited to come back from the break and dive in a little bit more deeply into your journey with this, because there were so many aha moments and awarenesses that we had. And it's really been such delight. So stay with us, folks. We're talking today to the host of the High Frequency Healing Show on the SuperPower Up Network, AngelaMaría. We're talking about reality and Realidad. And we're really focusing on language and vibration and how it shapes our world. So stay with us, and you're not going to want to miss this second part. We're going to talk about how do you cross over? How do you be that bridge into all of these different world perspectives? And AngelaMaría can share a little bit about how she embodies that space so beautifully. So stay with us, and we'll be right back. Hello, everyone. This is Tonya Dawn Recla, Executive Director of SuperPower Experts. And we want to thank each of you for making SuperPower Up the #1 podcast network for personal development and spiritual growth. Because people like you have the courage to say that mindfulness, healthy living, disrupting reality, the pursuit of consciousness, responsible entrepreneurship, and radical parenting matter. We now amass over 1 million downloads monthly in more than 90 countries. our numbers keep growing because there are far more people willing to live divergently than mass media wants to acknowledge. For you, the change makers, the light bearers, the way showers, we say thank you. If you're ready to take the next step in your evolution, go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower quiz. And as Tonya Recla, our youngest podcaster, likes to remind us, remember, we all have superpowers and we can change the world. Awesome. We're back. You're listening to the Superpower Up Network. This is Disrupt Reality. We're talking today with AngelaMaría, the host of High Frequency Healing. And before the break, I failed to ask where people can go to find out more about her. But if you don't know where to find her show, folks, you are not listening to us. So make sure that you download the app, the Superpower Net app, or you go to superpowerexperts.com. You can check out AngelaMaría's show and the rest of the shows on the network and the programs that she's a part of. And she brings this amazing wealth of just wisdom and experience and knowledge into that space with her. But before the break, you talked a little bit about this idea of, faith and trust. And what I loved about what you said was it was really affirming that you cannot possibly comprehend the magnitude of what is possible, the miraculous that is possible when you step out in faith. And that's why they call it faith, right? There's it's not proof, it's faith. And at the same time, by walking that walk, you do get to verify that what we're talking about is accurate. So talk a little bit about the difference between, waiting for proof before taking action versus walking out in faith and knowing that that proof is coming.
I just laugh because that was huge to me. When I started working with Tonya, I remember she was telling me all of these things, and I was thinking, yeah, sure. And I know that if you're listening, you've been in that place where is something inside you that knows that whatever the other person is saying resonates in your heart. But some other things is just taking action. And I got to this point where I have a lot of clients in Colombia. I was already enrolling around 31 people from Latin America, all of them Spanish speakers, in my yearly program. And but there was something that I couldn't understand why it wasn't just unfolding miraculously, because I really thought when I started this work that I was gonna get an assistance after a month, because many people wanted this, because I love it with my heart, but it didn't happen. And it was just blocking the flow of energy to create more experiences where people could feel that they resonate and that they needed what I had to offer. And the only thing that was blocking it is because I was waiting for the right time. If this happens, then that means I'm ready. But it wasn't happening. So when I understood the blockage and I could really digest Tonya's words, I said, okay, so let's jump. And that's what I call jumping in the emptiness, jumping in the unknown. And that's what I've been doing, just jumping in the unknown and being able to know that this, what I have to offer, it's not just a mission, but it's also a responsibility for my soul, because the more I do this work, the more I heal myself, and the more I heal all of these energies that I bring from past lives. And it's also helping a lot of people to start in that journey. So if you are in a point right now in your life where you know that you need to do something, just do it and trust. Who do I need to trust in? Trust in who you are. Trust in that instinct. Trust in that voice inside you that you are really clear is not your ego, because it doesn't come from the fear. It's not a voice that comes once and then it doesn't come for a while. It's a voice who has been there. And then when you put your attention in that voice, you get certain kind of peace and happiness and joy. So I know you can really differentiate that is not your ego, but you don't know what's going to happen. And that's for sure. That is the only kind, I wouldn't say fear, but it's the only kind of doubt that if I do it, what's going to happen? And for me, that I have this controlling personality, that was really hard for me to lose.
Well, and I want to, this is such a great opportunity because I was along for that ride, and I was along as an observer. I was along from the vantage point from the abstract frequency, where we help clients kind of stay in that space with the divine. And I was able to observe, and what was so fascinating was the the way that the areas of our lives that tend to present more challenge, right? And for you, that language component was such a big obstacle because we have a very clear story in our collective consciousness about communication and what we uplift and what we uphold as being professional or being worthy of being listened to and that type of thing. And it was so fascinating with you because of course I was experiencing you vibrationally, and I kept, every time the language kind of concept came forward, it was like, I don't, I kind of had that confused dog look on my face. Like, I don't understand what you're talking about because you don't communicate with words. Like, you communicate vibrationally. And so to me, it was like, I don't really like the words themselves, whichever language you're choosing is rather insignificant because of the power that I saw emanating off of you. And I knew that enough people can experience that without even totally understanding it, that was a big part of how you were doing your work. And as more and more of us awaken to these clairsenses and beyond the physical reality, and we learn to trust in the components that we have that aren't necessarily part of the five senses or, what we've talked or what we've been trained, how we've been trained to look at the physical world. As more and more of us open up those sensory perceptors, we're able to communicate in many, many different ways. And you just are a very powerful vibrational communicator. And when all of those pieces kind of started to come together and you really were able to step into that divine space, those conversations ceased to be front and center, and the solutions for how to kind of fit the language components in was so obvious, right? They became so obvious, but you cannot see them from certain frequencies, right? And so what AngelaMaría is talking about here is so crucial, folks. When you are trying to look at something from beneath it, you can never totally understand or see the solutions. When you elevate and you're able to see from an observer standpoint, all the solutions are there. In fact, they don't even present as solutions because they were never problems to begin with. And so when we talk about multidimensionality and kind of holding people accountable to their highest frequency, we're not just using faddish language and the latest trend in transformational dialogue. We're actually speaking about, physics, if you will, about how it works. And I got to experience that as the observer of AngelaMaría's journey. And it was so beautiful when those pieces kind of really culminated together, this awareness that she had of who she was. And that is one of the most difficult things that we walk our clients through, isn't it? Like, everybody wants to know, okay, well, what do I do? Well, you can't know what to do unless you know who you are. And who you are is such an abstract and obscure concept for so many people because we're not training our children to know who they are. We're not training students in schools to know who they are. We're training them to do certain things. And so a lot of our clients in their, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, runs the gamut, are having to relearn this concept of identity. And it's something that you just inhabit and embody so beautifully. I'm hoping you can speak to our audience a little bit about what that awareness transition was like for you. Because even though I saw it on you, you weren't consciously aware of it as something you could be all the time until you were, right? Do you remember what that felt like to come into that level of awareness?
Before I answer that question, I want the audience to know that I was a Spanish teacher, an English teacher in my own country. So languages are in my blood. And I also learned French when I was at university back in Colombia. So for me, grammar, structure of the sentence, I was teaching teachers how to teach Spanish grammar, how to teach English grammar. So I have all of that in me. So when I had to listen to me speaking, I realized that And of course, I was in a low frequency, and that's really important here. I realized that I made a lot of mistakes. So when Tonya came and said, hey, why you just don't lead one of these podcasts? I said, Tonya, in Spanish? And she said, no, most of our audience, all of our audience right now is in English. That could be a future step. And I remember the resistance inside me because it's not perfect. What if I say a bad word? What if I don't have those vowels? So sometimes I say words that are not appropriate. Like all of these stories came to my mind. But for some reason, and if you have had the opportunity to be with Tonya, when you are with Tonya, you are not you. You are the really you. So my divinity said, let's do it. So when you ask me, how was that experience? I was at the beginning interviewing Tonya, Tati, like people that I feel comfortable with. But after some months, there were people that I didn't know. They didn't even know I was from Colombia. This is my second language. But I remember that at the end of the interviews, they said, oh my God, Angela, I love our topic. Oh, Angela, thank you so much. I love your energy. I love blah, 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 blah. And I said, maybe what Tonya says is true. And I could feel, and I don't know if that is something that all of you have experienced, but maybe with my journey and my trajectory and all of these things, I can now feel this part of me saying, oh boy, what are you doing? How do you dare to do this? What are people going to say in Colombia if your English is not perfect? But then I have this other part saying, it's not about the words. It's about the energy those words have. And this is what you need to do. So at the beginning, it was an inner battle. And I want to be honest, still, sometimes that's in me. Like sometimes I'm more thinking about what are my people in Colombia thinking, because it looks like people in United States, Canada, UK, Africa, Asia, they don't care. But what about my co-workers in Colombia that they know that I teach English? And how is this happening? How is she speaking with that English, making a lot of mistakes? So when I see that piece of me, I can identify my low vibration. And the only thing that I do is, as I told you before, go back, take a deep breath. And I really, really, believe me, I really imagine all of me, even my physical body, elevating to the divinity that I am. So that helps a lot. But it wasn't easy, but now that I remember one day I went to Tonya's house and Justin was so excited. And do you know that your podcast this month was the one who has more downloads for the month? And I remember that I was kind of, But when I got home and I was telling my husband, I was jumping in joy. I said, I don't know what happened when they told me. It's like I was still like, kind of putting all of that together, but my human mind couldn't understand how a Colombian teacher was having a lot of downloads per month. And that was the day that I realized that my mission is not about what I say. My mission is not about the words that I use. My mission is not about the conjugation of the verbs. It's not about if I am using the adjective or the adverb. My mission is about impacting lives, the people's lives with my message, with my energy. My mission is helping people to realize and verify inside them the huge power we are. And if this is the way that I'm doing it through this language, I am willing to do it, and I am willing to keep on taking this challenge. And now just having these opportunities to interview people in Spanish and do the summary in English and vice versa has been huge. Of course, I have had some experiences sabotaging, because that's something else that I think it's important for you to know, that when you have been just navigating in low frequencies, and I love that instead of the ego, but in low frequencies, it's like your energy gets used to those low frequencies. But when you just make the decision, this is where I want to operate, this is where I am all the time, because this is who I am, then these low frequencies start like acting out like, hey, well, you need to calm down. It's here. It's not up there. Come on. And then I got a cough. I was sick. My stomach, like you cannot imagine, people, how many things happen in this third dimension, just trying to prove me wrong and to tell me I should stay in this low frequency. So it has been.
I want to jump in here really quickly, because I think that we would be doing people a disservice if we didn't talk about, and we both have mentioned, but I just think we need to be really forthcoming about just how amazingly challenging it is to do this work in general, but I would say impossible to do on your own. And so one of the beautiful gifts that SuperPower Experts as an organization brings is this collaboration. Whether it's the podcasters on the network or our coaches, because all of our coaching programs and training programs are collaborative. And it is impossible for an individual to stay out of the depths of their lower frequency kind of voices on their own. It's just too hard. The deck is stacked against us because there's too much in our reality that affirms for us the worst things that we think about ourselves. If you go looking for it, you can find it. And if you don't have people in your life who are able to say, look, I see you, I know who you are, and I feel you, and what your fears are speaking a form of reality, absolutely. But that's not the only version of reality available to you. Mm-hmm. May I show you a different one? Can I hold that for you? And I know that's such a huge gift that you bring to the SuperPower programs when we're working with clients. And for you to be able to come in and shine that lens, that divine light for people, and to say, look, I see you, I know you. And I know it's hard sometimes to remember to listen to that voice, but that voice is far more valid than all those other voices. And, I don't know how people are doing it without that level of support and contribution from others and the willingness. I mean, when people step into our programs, folks, make no mistake about it, our practitioners have agreed to grow transparently in the presence of other people. That's unheard of, right? And to continue growing and to continue to stretch themselves and continue to evolve and to do it together and supported and being held accountable to that. This is not small work that we're doing, but we feel very strongly that if we are encouraging our clients to do that, we have zero excuses. Like, we better make sure that we're continuing to do that. And so I really want to highlight that, because so much of our journey together, I think, is because we chose to journey together. And I know that's really hard for a lot of people who feel alone in this work.
Tonya, I would say that's crucial. And I love a metaphor that one of my spiritual teachers in Colombia, the only one I have in Colombia, used to tell us, and I want to share it with you. When you are in this path and you are in a crowd, let's say there is a concert, for example, and it's just crowd, a lot of people. So you don't see the lights, you don't see the signs, you just see people in front of you, behind you, around you. But if you have like a walkie-talkie or a cell phone to a person that is in the last floor of the tallest building in that area, and that person starts telling you, hey, keep walking 3 steps to the right, and they go to the left. And sometimes we are just, no, I don't think it's to the left. Come on, guys, you're in the middle of the crowd. You don't see farther than the person in front of you, than the back of the person in front of you. So I think that's what SuperPower Experts has been for me, but also the other people that I've been humble enough and recognizing I'm vulnerable and I'm being lost and saying, hey, I need your help. And when you have that possibility of communicating, being guided, being led by somebody that is up there, seeing the whole view, seeing the whole situation where you are in, and you just trust, you're going to get out of that crowd and you're going to be able to experience a different view more than just heads and backs. And that's what my experience has been, not just with SuperPower Experts, But now being a coach at SuperPower Experts, like seeing these people being in that crowd, lost, that they feel that it's hard, they cannot make it, how is this possible? And they just invest in themselves as the last opportunity. Like, this is my hope. My really hope is that that I can just get out of here, and they trust in us, and we being in that higher floor, being able to tell them, hey, this is where you are, but you are more than that. You're more than that person lost in the crowd. Walk to the right, then go left, and look where you are now. And those kind of things have been so valuable for me, and I will be thankful for the rest of my existence and future lives, because in this human experience, I was able to say, hey, I need help, and I know I'm powerful, but I don't know what it means. And I just need the guidance that you can offer me. So if you are listening, even if you are already a coach, I was already a coach. When I approached Tonya, I was already with clients. I already had my program, but I felt that something else was not unfolding for me. And of course, it was AngelaMaría trying to operate from AngelaMaría in the low frequency AngelaMaría was, instead of realizing that AngelaMaría's body is just the channel for this huge, loving, wise, and marvelous and amazing divinity that we all are. And now I am allowing that to go through me. Sometimes I forget, but then I have Tonya telling me, excuse me, lady, and then I just race again.
Oh, you're such a trip. I delight in you so much. Your story is so fabulous. I'm very, very excited for what comes next as you continue to have the courage and the bravery to stand so solidly in your space and to be that light for the people who are looking to you to shine it. And folks, that's really all any of us can do, right? I can't do what AngelaMaría does. She can't do what I do. I can't do what you do. And that's okay. It's beautiful. And when we are able to stand so solidly in our space and look to each other and lean on each other and to say, look, your success, your brilliance, your divinity does not threaten me. It uplifts me. It excites me. I need what you have to offer. I need you to be wholly who you are, because I can't be that, but I get to experience it through you. And there's really nothing more beautiful than that. And truly, to me, that is the essence in the power of collaboration. So folks, Liz, if you haven't checked out AngelaMaría's show, she's being extremely humble, by the way, about her numbers and her show. And I'm not even going to, anyway, her success in the listenership that she has is absolutely mind-boggling. Unheard of numbers in the podcasting arena. And because she leads with her heart and soul, that's a prerequisite for our network. And we just so appreciate you showing up fully and giving of yourself so completely, because so many people are benefiting from that. So check out High Frequency Healing. If you're interested, if any of this opens up your heart and you just are feeling drawn to what we're talking about with our training programs, go check out the Superpower Programs page at superpowerexperts.com. Take a look at it. There's a readiness assessment. If you're not real sure if you're ready to walk the world as your divine aspect, I get it. That's a kind of a weird thing if it's not something you've been exploring. So take that readiness assessment, and you can always get on a call with one of us to talk about it. But we really are here to help you when it's time and when you're ready and when it feels in resonance for you. This is very specific work, and it's not for everyone, folks. So read the material, dive into it, pray on it, meditate on it, talk to your spirit guide, your angels, to God, whoever it is that you commune with, and be clear. And if that kind of support feels like a warm hug to you right now, then reach out to us and let us know, and we're happy to talk with you. Otherwise, I can't even fathom what's coming next from this firecracker that we've got here. Last words, AngelaMaría, that you would like to share with our audience?
I just want you to know that there is much more for you in front. That if you really would like to get out of the crowd, you need to look for help. Because if you are in the crowd, you don't see anything else that the person in front of you, by your side, and maybe behind you if you just turn your head. There is nothing else there. But if you really feel in your heart there is something else, look for help. I am where I am now, and I know that I am meant to be even farther just because I was able to say, hey, I really need help. But there is much more, and it's much more when we connect to the divinity and we let the divinity go through us. Whatever is divinity for you. Muchas gracias por escuchar. And just be ready if you speak Spanish. If you know somebody who speaks Spanish, be very attentive. Go listen to my podcast because a lot of surprises are coming.
Very exciting. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Like I said, I delight in you and I honor your courage in walking your path. And I love you. And I'm just so incredibly grateful that I've had the honor of walking beside you. So thank you.
Gracias, Tonya. Muchas gracias.
To all of you out there, as always, we appreciate your loyalty. Thank you for listening. Like we said, over 1 million downloads a month it's mind-blowing. And we really, really appreciate the support. Tell your friends about it. Download the app. You can stream your favorite shows from the network on the app. So go to any app store where you get those. You can type in SuperPower Experts or SuperPower Net, and you'll find us. Until next time, folks, go out, uncover your superpowers, and change the world. Take care, everyone.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz today.